Okay, so looks like you guys are all ready to go ahead, so you can start.
Yeah.
Don't mind me, I'm just getting my paperwork here.
Yeah. Ikbal Janiff?
Some background for you if you never saw that before. I think I have another copy here. Let me see if I can find it. That's from 1994. Mr. Lang isn't going to be with us today?
No.
Oh.
No, I just thought that we'll just have
I was expecting him to go for his 30,000 offer again.
No, that might be in the file. I don't know that.
Yeah, in point of fact, there's a few inaccuracies there. Like, the final total wasn't 45,000, like it said. It was actually 67,000.
Anyway, thank you for initiating this meeting.
Take a look there.
We appreciate the opportunity to discuss a possible settlement with you. I think what I need to explain, and because you're recording it, I'll do this. And we've already.
And this is all without prejudice, of course.
Yeah, of course. We have discussed this. You and I have discussed this the other day when you came to visit me the first time. The issue is an old issue. The current Public Trustee Corporation Limited was formed in
February 2006. But
this estate goes back.
Yes, it does.
Several years. And, many years before that. So, it's something that we inherited. And one of the issues that I took up as chair of the newly formed corporation was to try and find out why files still sat with us when the beneficiaries have already turned 21. And our responsibility is to look after the estates until the beneficiary is 21. And once all the legal matters are resolved, to pass it on. We're not into the real estate business, so we really are not in a position to be looking after and collecting rent, etc. Beyond that.
Like Vijay Maharaj was for the Amy Street property.
Yeah. We were not in that position.
You should have just left it with him then.
But you see, it wasn't just leaving it with him. It was what the court was telling us to do.
Okay.
Right. There were complications because the initial will named two people as trustees. Your mum obviously was unable to continue. The second person who was named refused.
Yes, that's actually still a matter for contention because I have talked to Mr. Kirk and he has absolutely no recollection of this. And even in the affidavit that Mr. Korodrau here signed, they said they included an attached letter from Mr. Kirk and there was no such letter.
Okay. I'm telling you what was there in the file when we took it over, right?
Yes, what you've been told.
And that's how the court, right, made the order that the estate be handed over to public trustee. If Mr. Kirk had accepted the responsibility of being an executor, right, then there would have been no need for it to come to the public trustee office.
Yes. Okay.
The fact that the court gave it to the public trustee office, it ended up there. Right? Public trustee office didn't go looking for it. It was given to them by the courts. Okay? And that is a matter for, well, that's a past anyway. Right now, right, there is an issue of some monies which the public trustee believes is owed to it by the estate. And what I've done here is summarized. This was done by the office. I've summarized what is showing up in our files. It's 2 copies of the same thing. So
Okay.
that one to you,
All right.
Okay. Now, just looking at the figures there, the total sum owed. Number 1 is fees, expenses, interest. And then in the next highlighted area, that number 1 is analyzed, is broken down. Okay? So you see the total is 52,196, which reflects the 52,196.
Yes.
And legal fees is what the discussion was about. Then if you look at the breakdown of A of 20,000, that's given in the next highlighted area. So we've tried to give you as much information as possible. Okay. Now, in December of last year, right, there was some discussion about a settlement. And the settlement offer of $30,000 was made. And we went back and said, yes, the 30,000 plus the legal cost. Right? And that was rejected, and in fact the $30,000 offer was withdrawn.
Yes, it was.
Okay. So that's where we are now. Right?
Well, I'm glad you realize that. Mr. Langi Langi just refuses to accept it.
That's where we are now. It's been withdrawn. So we're back to
zero,
and to a starting point.
Okay.
Right? Now, the public trustee office has no money of its own. We don't own anything. We charge everybody a fee, right? Everybody whose estate is under our care gets charged a specified fee. Now, this is a fee that is specified in law. We can charge X dollars for doing this or X percentage for doing such and such, okay? Now, that's where the public trustee office makes its profits from. Okay. And when we have to pay any rates or anything like this on behalf of a property that we are looking after, it is in fact using somebody else's money, and you keep rolling it. Right? And this is why we need to at least recover our outgoings. We might look at interest and things which as I said, is what we charge. Right? But things like our disbursements, city rates, for example, which we've had to pay on the property.
No, not until 2003, according to the SCC.
Yeah.
But the public trustee has seen fit to spend other money since that date. So I'm kind of confused as to why one expense is okay but the other is not. Mr. Langi's argument all along was that the public trustees' fees are statutory and have to be paid, but somehow the SCC's statutory rates do not have to be paid.
Sorry?
Somehow the SCC's rates, which are also statutory, do not have to be paid.
To who?
To the SCC, by the public trustee, as they were administrators of the estate. Now, that's been neglected for years and years, but somehow the money just kept going out on other things.
No, as far all the rates are paid up, aren't they?
According to Joe Chairman,
SCC?
They paid the city rates. I spoke to Joe this morning. He said that they have paid city rates as part of these advance payments.
Yeah, all the city rates are paid.
I talked to, what's his name, Joe Wanga? The rates officer. I've got copies in here somewhere, but he told me the rates have been unpaid since 2003. That's one of the major...
Has been unpaid since 2003?
Yes. There's actually 11,000 and change owing on the Amy Street property. I'll probably give him a call.
I'll check on it.
I've got the paperwork in here, but it'll take time to look through that. And also, in point of fact, we're all aware of that demolition order that the SCC issued on the Amy Street property.
Yeah.
The thing is, our lawyer had been in contact with a contractor who was willing to, you know about Oregon timber, no?
Yeah.
Valuable building materials, still in good shape today. So there had been a contractor who was willing to tear the whole thing down and take the material because obviously he wanted that Oregon timber, and he had been willing to pay a sum of some 3,000 odd, and they have those boys that run the legal messages across, so acknowledge receipt and all that stuff, and the public trustee acknowledged receipt of this and then completely went ahead and ignored that and then got their own guy who then charged a sum of like 6,000 odd, which obviously is a net loss of almost $10,000 to the estate.
Len,
we've got paperwork verifying all of this, so,
Are you aware of this letter from the solicitor? Because as far as the board is concerned, when the demolition order was given, we advertised.
Yeah, we did, yes.
Right? We advertised, and the decision was made on the basis of those who responded to that advertisement. Now, was there, Vernon is talking about a letter that their solicitor received, and that was forwarded to, or delivered to the public trustee.
So, the receipt acknowledgement, so there's a signature showing that.
I'd like a copy of that letter because it has not been brought to the board's notice.
I think there's a lot of things that haven't been brought to the board's notice.
And thank you for revealing this, because it is quite important to us. But
I'll check on that.
Can you check whether there is a letter?
I believe it was even mentioned in the affidavit that the public trustee entered into the court.
That there was a letter received. Can you check that?
Langi made some excuse about, we were rushed for time, but there was no, the SEC, it's not like they were.
But who was our solicitor at the time? Was it Joe or the other guy?
Joe.
Not the one that we inherited.
Ratambalavu or whatever his name was.
Okay. Can you just check?
So this is the letter that came from
Mr. Prakash.
Mr. Prakash.
Should be on file there. If not, we have copies.
Yeah, and I'd like to be able to see that, because if that throws totally different light on it.
And that's just one of many issues.
And then you said the city rates weren't paid.
The city rates have not been paid until from 2003, according to Joe Wanga. He gave me a printout in here, but either way, this is easily confirmed.
Yeah.
Both are easily confirmed. Okay. Eddie, any other surprises you got for us?
Actually quite a few. Dating back from 1986, which is when the public trustee took administration. I mean, you're familiar with the King's Hotel and everything, right? And there was an FMPF mortgagee sale, and obviously, according, well, never mind the public trustee, any trustee, right? Okay, we're all on the same page. The duty of any trustee is to obviously look after the assets and, liabilities, etc., etc., etc. The public trustee made absolutely no effort to look into the final disposition of the sale of the King's Hotel. Like, it was just FMPF by, mortgagee sale by FMPF, and the public trustee completely washed its hands of it, so we have no idea whether there was a profit, a loss, anything. What the final disposition was. Whether there was a profit or a loss is irrelevant. It's just that the public trustee fell down on the job of, keeping track of this.
Len, when the probate was issued, can you just check what assets were in the estate?
And there was obviously a mortgage owing on that, but then, it really doesn't matter. Like, if there was a loss, it still has to be reported.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I agree with you. This is why we need to
this is right from the start.
But,
there are many other issues, but I'm just going to point out the most glaring ones.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, Len, can you just get the probate out? Let's see what else was, what actually came to the public trustee office to administer.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, I'm not sure whether the hotel would have been under that, but still, final disposition of the assets.
No, but final disposition of the assets that came as part of the estate.
Mm-hmm.
If it was not part of the estate, then
I don't think the public trustee would have mentioned it at all then, because it is shown in my old balance sheets from, whenever. They just mention the King's Hotel, but then they never give a disposition. Just was handled by FNPF, and we don't want to touch it.
All right. So can you find out? And then also check with FNPF. I'm sure they would.
Good luck with that. Let's see. I'm trying to keep a timeline here, going, forward year by year. The next most glaring one, I think, this is the next one in the progression of the timeline, is the public trustee took possession, and this one's not even contested. My father had an old coin collection of, the old shillings with the holes in them, and, I believe gold coins as well, according to my dad's friend and lawyer in the U.S., and there was never a formal valuation, but in the balance statements I have, the public trustee stated the value at $14,000, and this was during 86, 87, when the U.S. dollar, right before the coup, before the U.S., before the Fiji dollar got devalued, so that would have been almost 1-to-1 with the U.S. dollar right then, and the public trustee lost it. And also my father's ring, the ring he died with, and that was passed down from his father, and so forth. Just flew away.
Can you just check that?
And I had mentioned this to Wendell Archibald back when he was head of the public trustee back in '99, after I had filed a complaint with the ombudsman because the public trustee refused to speak to me, even though I was over the age of 21.
See, this is what they should have resolved it in 1999 and given you everything then. They should have just transferred it across. Why hang on to it?
That's a question the public trustee can answer, not me.
Well, that's the question that we would like answered, not only for your estate, but several others which are still sitting there.
Yes, I have read the Auditor General's reports, yes.
I just fail to figure out why anything would still be with us after 21 years.
So just going by valuation and appreciation versus devaluation, it easily comes, just going by spot price of gold, assuming it was all gold coins, not valuable coins that obviously would appreciate with time, it's easily over 100,000 Fiji.
Well, I think, Lynn...
So just coin collection, father's ring.
Coin collection, father's ring, the King's Hotel. right?
Mm-hmm. And let's see, moving forward, what other issues would there be? I don't know. I just don't understand. Like even according to our lawyer and other lawyers I've talked to, as far as the trust duties go, as soon as the account hit $0 and started to go into a debt, that the trustees were obligated to notify us as, like, "Oi, there's no money left. What do you want us to do?" And obviously we have never heard anything from the public trustee over this time until all the legal proceedings, and it's just, "Hey, give us money." I mean, this is a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
And from what the lawyers have told me, like the trust duties that a lawyer is held to are of a much lower standard than the public trustee is held to, because obviously it is the public trustee.
Okay, let me just make a note of all these, because I don't think we're going to be able to resolve these today. When do you go back?
In a couple of weeks.
Okay. Well,
Yes, these will probably not be resolved by then either, but
no, but at least we might be able to have another.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there are other substantial assets that have all gone, because I know when the police went through our house back in '86 and the Kings of, well, you know what the police do. TV, VCR, oh brother, that's evidence. So a lot of all that stuff, but I'm pointing out the most glaring ones.
But you see, was the public trustee in charge of the estate when
Well, all the final disposition, everything was handed over to the when I was 16, I actually went and did this, because the public trustee was saying, "No, not us, it's FNPF or the police." I forget which is which. Anyway, so I went from the public trustee with the paperwork, and I went to whichever one first, the FNPF or the police. They referred me to the next guys, and then from the next guys they say, "No, it says here signature, signed paperwork." Everything was received by the public trustee. So all roads lead back to the public trustee. So when I was 16 when I did that, because the public trustee could not be bothered to find out, so I had to do it myself.
it looks as if we're going to have to go back to when the estate came to the public trustee and exactly what came to.
I even have like copies of all Peter Knight's notes here, where he several times asked, the public trustee for a final statement of account and everything, because there were entire years missing. And that's also mentioned in there too, but again, I mean, these are just, not really something I can't really substantiate compared to the more glaring ones that I'm pointing out here. What else is there? Actually, there is one very glaring one. Just give me a moment to look through that. I don't know, there's just all sorts of things. Payments made to an insurance company that's still going on today, and I have no idea what the insurance is for, given that there's nothing. Anyway.
Are we continuing to pay insurance?
Yeah, can I call you back? Okay.
Not that I can remember.
To Tower Insurance, and that's ongoing, and like I actually been meaning to go by and talk to them, but you know how things are in Fiji.
Yeah, well, they won't talk to
Yeah,
you.
they won't talk to me. Not without a court order or something.
Can you just check what we're paying to Tower Insurance?
Financial statements. Here we go. That's the one verifying the coins, and number 9 there. I really should have organized, but I was planning to get here a little earlier. And if you want to make copies of that, but this is the public trustee's own paperwork, so it should be in the file. Here we are. This would be from the SCC. Let me see, where does it start from? Starting from 2003, and that would be the final balance owing. And a lot of these claimed expenses that are listed here, attributed to one Moticho High and Mary Northcott. At the time, my brother was by himself in Fiji, and he was the sole person going to the public trustee asking for money. And so these guys, well, we still have to, be 100% verified with them, but he has no idea why these people would be asking for money at the time when he was by himself in Fiji while I had taken off to the U.S. But again, like, these are just like, I say the word minor because it's only in the hundreds of dollars. There's a big balance sheet here. Let me just look for that. But the main point I'm going for here is, I don't know what Mr. Lang Lang has been telling you, but I don't think it's been an accurate picture of what's been going on. Whether that's been his job as to deal with what's happening now without thought for what has happened in the past, I don't know. You guys would know that better than I.
Then we need to check on all the issues that
Okay, here we go.
that Vernon is highlighting, please.
And this was the original statement of account that was sent back in last year. And I don't know about you, but according to the certified accountants I've talked to, this just isn't right. No dates, no reference numbers, no nothing, and I mean, that's the same as me printing something up and just running out to someone on the street and saying...
These are photocopies of the accounts that are held in the file.
Yes. But there's pages and pages where it just says other monies. No dates, no references, no reason for the expenditure.
Yes, there's some pages here that don't have any dates.
Quite a few, actually. And it's also, I don't know, alarming, perhaps?
Richard.
Because, from, say, 86 to 2005, 2006, there's maybe 10 pages of, records there. And then it would appear that after 2006, when the public trustee lost the appeal, from now until 2009 or 2010, there's another 10 pages of expenses. So it would appear that someone went on a spending spree after they lost the appeal.
We can certainly check all expenditure that was made since 2006.
Yes. And,
since 2006, that's when it got transferred across.
And this point I was making previously about how the public trustee went and found a contractor who charged the estate $6,000, and previously Mr. Langi Langi had stated, obviously the estate is in debt, at least according to all the paperwork here. And he said, there's no money in the estate to pay the SCC rates on Amy Street. But how is it that the public trustee was able to pay this contractor guy $6,000 same time, no questions asked?
No, but that's where the advance payments come in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. Advance payments
And again, without notifying us, you know, I mean, back when the estate went from 0 to -1, you know.
That was a communication problem that
see, the thing
has
is, though,
been addressed.
Yes.
Since that time.
Because I've been at my brother and I have been at the same address from the year 2000. Our addresses are on every single court filing. Had the public trustee wanted to get in contact with us, obviously Mr. Langi Langi is the legal officer. He goes to court, he files the court filings. The address is right there. You don't need
When did you appoint your lawyers?
Well, when we first started this all, that would have been Peter Knight back in the year 2000, 2001. And the address was the same since then. And obviously, had there been any communication, the public trustee just could have passed it through him.
Yeah, that's what I need to check, to see whether, you're saying you didn't receive any correspondence where you are. That could be because correspondence letters were being sent to your local representative. But I need to check.
Yes.
I need to check that. I'm not saying that is what happened.
And then, so those were the ones for the SEC rates. There's that. And, let's see, did I give, oh wait, there it is. Okay. No. Let's see, this one. And this is the one that was filed and submitted by the court. That's your signature right there, sir? The stamp of the public trustee and your signature?
Yeah, that's my name, but I didn't sign it.
You didn't sign this?
I must have signed on the affidavit.
Yes, this would have been separate. So
this would have been, this
attachment.
This is
Okay. Now, this is a copy of the one submitted by the court. And again, you guys can check your own records. And so, if you just allow me. Let me see where this is. I have addressed all these issues to Mr. Langi Langi at one point or another, and he always comes back with, well, technically we're not responsible. I don't know how true that is, but it's not a very satisfactory answer. Technically, I'm not responsible for the debts the public trustee has run up either.
Technically, the public trustee, whether it was the public trustee office or the new corporation, had the duty to look after the
This is true. The key issue here is the word "look after." See, so okay. This one is date. Well, there's no dates or anything on it, but
you mentioned that. So
yes. Okay. So this would be the fresh stuff, and basically, I believe it says acceptance up here in the corner, and that would be dating from when the estate was first taken in by the public trustee, even though it's not dated. But I remember seeing that on the letters of probate. And so it just basically goes other money, and this is all expenses that the public trustee has charged their percentage on. So just going through all the years here. Well, hopefully they're years because there's no dates on them. And then we come to one here that says acceptance fees and $500,000. So that would indicate money that came into the public trustee.
yes.
Okay, so $500,000 came in, and it doesn't appear anywhere else.
No, there was. There was something in here. Now it. See, there's no date given here. That on 3/6/92, insurance proceeds for benefit of Amos. These are
Yes,
you guys,
and
right?
it was not receipted, returned, and bank
Draft
see,
requested.
again, no follow-up on that,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
who knows?
You see, that amount looks very, very much like an insurance payout.
Okay,
It's
perhaps.
a round figure.
All right,
Yeah, but we need
but then
to,
again, like, how did the public trustee burn through $500,000?
No. But you see, according to this, the $500,000 came. It was paid out through ICF Engineers U.S. company check payable in U.S. dollars, but was not receipted, returned on that, and bank draft requested. Now, Len, we need to check, right? So that money
that's a big chunk of money.
It is, right? And once, of course, the public trustee goes and purchases a bank draft, the public trustee has to give a check to the bank to get a bank draft, right? And this bank draft, right, would have been sent to someone.
Yes.
Now, what we need to do is to try and find out what this bank draft is referring to and who the payee on the bank draft were, and see if there is any way. It's a long time ago. I'm talking about, 18 years ago, 18 years ago, whether there is any way of knowing where the bank draft went.
Because otherwise it would appear that someone made an entry there for that amount, but it's not reconciled. It just shows up out of thin air. Because, obviously on the acceptance fees, so there's $10,000 there, so we got charged $10,000 for that $500,000.
Yes. And that 10,000.
Yes, that's part of the percentage and all. I'm aware of that, but
but I think what we need to do is we need to find out, Len. This looks like it is in.
This was prepared last year.
Yeah, I know, but this would have come from records.
Yes.
Files, eh?
See, that's the issue I had with Mr. Langi. Like, where's the records and everything, and which is why, like, I told you about that thing about those two guys. Well, the two guys or one guy at the public trustee who got brought up on those charges for that $97,000 money laundering thing, which is why I had asked him, for audited accounts. And then he said, well, we don't need to do that. We have our own accountant, which may or may not be true, but again, standard accounting practice is that the accountant has to sign off on this as a true and factual snapshot.
Well, you go to a bank, and the bank is not going to give you an audited account of your particular statement, okay? The bank has an audit done by the bank.
But again,
in doing that, the bank's auditors do checks of various.
But the bank's auditors would sign off on that, given that they state that this my name is to Ritesh Kumar, and I am certifying that this is a true and accurate financial snapshot, and no such accountant's signature there in the statement.
I'm not quite sure what you are talking about, Vernon. Public Trustee Corporation has its accounts audited. Okay. And in doing that audit, the auditor does a snapshot of various accounts that are held by.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me. That was more of an aggregate as opposed to individual audits.
Yeah, nobody. You can't tell me that Westpac's auditors go and audit the 250,000 accounts that.
No,
Westpac.
But see, as again I said, like I had asked Mr. Langi specifically, for an audited account there because of these issues.
Yeah, well, if you want the Amos file to be audited specifically, right? Is that what you're wanting? You're wanting that, okay? I think then you should ask your solicitors to write to us requesting that, and then we will tell you how much it's going to cost. And then we can certainly do that, But let me say...
Yeah, I would prefer that a third party did.
No, we can certainly get it done, right? And, with your solicitors, we can sit down and appoint, KPMG or Ernst & Young or...
Whoever,
whoever, right? And say, right, Young, this is how much it's going to cost. You want it done? We'll get it done.
Yes, and these are all, just the various issues.
That is not a problem. But if you are suggesting that this is common practice, that each account
of course
is audited, then that's not so.
No, yes, unless specifically requested, yes.
Then what we need to do is to find out, see, it shows the $500,000 in the income column.
Yes.
There is a reference made to bank draft in this, right? Where is it appearing?
See, this is what I mean
in the
about
payment column.
the public trustee sort of like coming across these things and then not following through on checking up to see what happened there.
I don't see that document in this list of stuff that has been given to me. Can I photocopy these?
So I'm sure that's all. I mean, whether you just want this cover one or...
No, I'll photocopy all of these.
There's probably more in here, but like a lot of it isn't all stapled together or they come apart.
Okay. I'll photocopy this and give these to you, Len.
Yeah.
Because this is what Vernon is talking about, right? It talks about the yacht sold for... What's the yacht, right?
Yes. Makita, yes, sold for $42,000. That does appear there.
Yeah, sale of yacht. $42,000.
See, there are things like this: household chattels, bed and fortunes. Why would the public trustee? It's nothing to do with the public trustee again, but it's like if these things show up there, it's like what else is there that didn't show up? That would be in the police records or FNPF of items that were taken, and then they don't show up at the public trustee. You see what I'm saying?
Len, to me...
Again, but that's only $95, so that's not like a pressing issue.
No, but it's... We need to... see here, it just says reference and amount. It doesn't seem to tell us whether it's a debit or a credit.
As a businessman, if you saw that, wouldn't you have questions?
I would have questions. This is yours, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. See, then this one here, sale of yacht, right? $42,000, and then mooring charges, right?
That's a charge.
That's a charge. That's a debit.
It's all lumped together.
Yeah. There's no splitting of debits and credits.
Yeah.
And I think if we did that as a start,
so
I think we'd get a much better picture of...
So you guys need to talk to whoever your head accountant is there at the public trustee and...
Yeah, well, this is all 86
I'll
stuff.
light a fire under him.
This is 86 stuff, so we'll need to work out what is...
Yeah, because it would appear that, like, whoever prepared this, they didn't really go back to all the records. They just, took whatever was there and just, added, maybe a couple years worth of accounts to whatever was there.
Yes, definitely. This is what was on the file, and whether the vouchers relating to these payments can be located. Right?
In point of fact, there was a previous statement here that there was that had a one-page balance sheet, showing income assets.
Like that.
Something a little more than that. I don't know where I have it in here, but it would obviously be in the public trustee records. But the issue is that when they show the income versus expenses, it doesn't balance. There's a balance sheet that doesn't balance to the tune of $10,000, and then somebody went and wrote another number, sort of penciled it in to make it balance. And again, this would be in the public trustee's records.
But I mean, why weren't these things challenged then? Who was looking after the family's interest at that time?
When this was, this is like going through the courts with Mishra Prakash and Associates. Again, this was not about like the assets and liabilities of the estate and the money. This was about the handover of the estate to the beneficiaries, me and Tony. So this is a completely separate issue. I mean, it could have been brought up, but that was not the reason why it was in court.
Manju, please.
I mean, if as Mr. Langi, I don't know, there's paperwork here where he says...
Well, see, Langi has been with us only for...
almost 3 years now.
3 years.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, whilst he... Can you photocopy these for me, please?
One each?
2 each. Mr. Langi has been with us for 3 years now. And to blame him for some of the issues that happened before his time is a little bit unfair.
Mm-hmm.
But he should have been,
yes, as having been informed of the issues, yes, absolutely.
No, but what you are saying, that the letter from your lawyer, for example, regarding the demolition was delivered to the public trustee office, right? And we can get a copy from them. Then can you make a note? Just ask for a copy with the signature. With the signature of whoever received it.
This is a letter from Mr. Prakash?
Yes, the one about that we had found that he had found a contractor who would demolish the site and pay a sum of 3,000 odd to the estate.
That was the whole idea of advertising it, because I know the value of old timber, right? And I was hoping that we would be able to demolish it and actually sell the timber and put the money into the account. But in the end, the demolition cost us money, and then the Suva City Council stepped in and said, the property is below road level, so you guys have got to fence it. So there's more bloody money needed to go into that. Right? And as quickly as we fenced it, some clowns came and pinched the post and the wire.
I was just about to ask about that.
Yeah, no, it went within a week. Right? The posts were pine poles, right?
Pine poles.
Yeah, we put pine poles in because we had to anchor it somehow in longish pine poles. And it had, we couldn't put barbed wire on it because it was on the footpath. So it had this number 8 wire going along Brown Street and along Amy Street. Right? And I drove past there, it was gone. Right?
I think I've mentioned all the most glaring issues that come to mind.
That's fine, Vernon. Look, thank you very much for taking your time to come in and put these issues on the table. Now, your phone number remains the same?
Yes.
900-6436. Okay. Len, you work on these issues, and as soon as we've got a few answers, we will... That's the original. Yeah.
Because all I have to say, Mr. Korodrau, I'm sure you're capable and all that, but you really need to start looking at what you're signing, because these guys are like, I heard the same thing happened with Mr. Archibald, actually. That, you heard about the guy who was the acting public trustee, Penny Tangane Kurukuru. And
don't worry about Penny Tangane Kurukuru.
I hear the Justice Department, Ministry of Justice is still looking into him.
Well, when we took over, we had a bit of a fight with Penny Tangani Kurukuru.
Because he was, I don't know how long he was there as number 2, but it was quite long, I believe, and, he was just, I'm not sure Mr. Archibald even knew what was going on, because everyone has told me he's a, man of good character, and so it would not have indulged in all of this knowingly.
Penny was under suspension when we took over, and there was another acting guy. So there was an acting guy for the acting guy. And one of my conditions of becoming chairman was that when the transition was made, I will take whoever is in the office at the time. Anyone who is under suspension is not part of the transfer. And then Penny Tangani Kurukuru was...
he was actually at the Ministry of Justice.
No, well...
Ironic.
He was then discharged. There was no case to answer. So then he said, okay, well, I want my job back as the public trustee. And I said, absolutely no, very well. Have a look at my letter. Right? Have a look at my letter with the Public Service Commission. Then he went and reported me to FICAC. And I was in the West, and the head of FICAC brings me up in the talker. He says, you must give him his job back. And I said, no, I'm not going to give him his job back. You go and have a look at that letter, and I'm not going to give him his job back. If there is a job for him, if he has been discharged, good luck to him. He goes back to the Public Service Commission, not to the Public Trustee Office. So we had to fight very, very hard to keep him back out. And the guy who was acting was also from the Ministry of Justice. Then the Ministry of Justice, when we started to move, said, oh, hang on a minute, this guy is only on secondment. He's not part of your staff, so we're not letting him go. This one's on secondment, so we're not letting that one go. And that one's on secondment, we're not going to... Suddenly I found that half my senior staff had gone because they were not part of the Public Trustee Office. They were only there on loan.
I think I remember reading something about that in the Auditor General's report as well.
Yeah, it was... When we took over, when government decided to take it away from the Ministry of Justice and make it into a government-owned company, corporatized, we were given 48 hours to move out of the government.
That's incredibly fast for Fiji.
We were given 48 hours to move out, and I just ignored it. Sorry, we're not moving until someone goes through the filing room and notes down every file, right, that is being shifted to the new organization. I was not going to accept files that weren't there. And when we went through the filing room, we found that there were some files missing.
I'm shocked.
Right, the files missing. So that was something that I wasn't going to be held responsible for because we never got it in the first place.
Yes, right? Exactly.
And then, according to the changeover, an audit had to be done before. An audit had to be done before everything moved across. And this was the audit that was done by KPMG. And it took KPMG about 18 months to do it. And they went through every file. KPMG went through every file that was being transferred across, right, to ensure that there was a paper trail of everything. Act also said that after the audit has been completed, that audit needs to be checked by someone else. So KPMG did the file vetting and prepared the first audit. Then KPMG's audited files were then revisited by E&Y. This is before it shifted across. So that was the process. And it took us about a year and a half, nearly 2 years before that process was completed, because it was a huge job. There's something like 30,000 estate files, and within some of those estate files, like there was one Amos estate file, but within that Amos estate file there were 3 sub-files for the 3 of the beneficiaries. So there were many with multiple internal files. So a total of, we reckon, about 80,000 files. All that had to be done before. And this is why I'm saying that an overall audit was done.
Yes.
There was a check on the Amos file by KPMG initially and ENY, right? But there was no special audit certificate issued for
that specific
Amos.
one. Okay.
That's what
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But if you want it done, no reason why it can't be done. We will hand over the file that we have, and to whoever that party we decide wants to get it done, or is going to do it. And they can sit in the office. We won't let the documents go out. And they can just do it.
And that's a question though, like, well, given the court case at present, and of course Langi says that the public trustee will appeal it and put a stay.
No, there's no appeal. The decision to appeal has been hasn't been approved by the board.
Okay.
And I've asked that that this be brought at the next board meeting. That's
18th.
next weekend. Yeah, next week after Carl comes back.
Okay.
And
Right, so
it will
pending.
be discussed. Eh?
It's pending. Okay.
Yeah, it's pending.
Decision.
But hopefully, if we can have another discussion before then, right? And Len can get some of that information, then I can tell the board, advise the board on why I think it is not in the public trustees' interest to appeal it, because what the court has done.
Because what Mr. Langi said out. Well, you finish first, and I'll.
What the court has done, it has taken the estate from the public trustee and has given it to the beneficiaries. And that's our bloody mandate in the first place.
Yes, and to appeal it would indicate a contrary interest.
Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy.
Because Mr. Langi's entire attack was, I mean, even at the hearing when I got here on July 15th, and I was here for the hearing, outside of court, Mr. Langi was still trying to persuade me to accept the $30,000 offer, because otherwise we'll just appeal and appeal and appeal. And essentially that was his entire attack during the meeting back last year as well, December, that like, really, you know, like, we have nothing really to contest this with. We're just going to make it take you long and cost a lot of money. I mean,
that's not the way I.
So I don't, you know, like the question comes down to who's been giving him directives.
Certainly, no one gives him directives on specific cases. He is the manager. He brings issues to the board where he thinks he requires directives. But by and large, he runs his department.
So he's self-contained.
The board is not an interventionist board. We will not go and interfere with the operations of the department. But if he comes to us for a directive, then we will certainly give him a directive. And in this instance, the directive to him, through Len, I don't speak to him myself, the directive, tea or coffee?
Tea please, no sugar.
Tea too. One sugar. Sorry, Manju. I thought I saw a shadow. Tea, no sugar.
Masala
Black,
chai? No?
Any
Okay.
masala chai? We can give him green tea.
No, that's fine. Then just regular punjas with milk, that's fine.
No sugar.
No sugar, please.
Black tea, what sugar?
Black one.
Thank you. I can give you green tea.
No, that's fine.
But that's, we don't go and interfere. If he has...
So he's largely unsupervised.
No. He's not unsupervised, but he is left to run his department. The 30,000 offer came to the board, right? And the board said, well, yeah, we'll accept the 30,000 offer, but there is this legal cost of $3,600, right? Go back and say 30 plus 3, 6, right? And that was rejected. And of course, when that was rejected, it went back to square one.
Yes,
I'm hoping that when we meet next week, we might be able to perhaps re-look at how we can settle this without it going through court and all that sort of stuff. But let's get the information out first, right? And as you said right at the very beginning, all this discussion today and the discussion that we had, a week, 10 days ago, all without prejudice.
Because I have mentioned, perhaps not all of these issues, but several of these issues to Mr. Langi at the time when we met, and his response was, oh, well, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the settlement of the debt. But, I mean, I think you'll agree with me that this all has to do with the debt.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I'm very, very concerned that there's that $500,000 where we're talking about the bank draft, where which we have
Disappeared, yes.
Yeah, no record of knowing where it's gone. Coin collection. Right. These are things that were in the public trust.
Yes. And I mean, regardless of the value of my, that was my family. I've seen a few articles like you've done, a few interviews and stuff like that, and you talk about family. And if it was your father, what would you have done?
That's right. No,
if it was your father, what would you do?
Yeah.
You say, oh, no, that's okay, just leave it.
No, I mean, these are things that should have been under lock and key, right? And, and we have stuff under lock and key. And every safe that we have has 2 keys. And 2 different people. And they both must be there to open. There is a logbook. Both must sign. Anything.
Perhaps they're still sitting in a safe somewhere, but someone forgot to check.
Can you just check?
They just fell through the cracks in the paperwork.
Can you just check? I mean, the safes are in Lynn's office. Oh.
Yeah, because
they might still be there. I mean,
Because at the time, when I talked to whoever it was when I was 16 and I was doing my own investigating, the public trustee just pretty much absolved themselves of responsibility. But, I mean, all the lawyers I've talked to say, at the end of the day, all roads lead back to the public trustee because they're the bloody trustee.
That's right. No, I mean, let me say this, Vernon. We cannot abrogate our responsibility. Okay?
Thank you for saying
that. I'm not a person who will say, oh, well, it happened before my time, and therefore I'm not responsible. What I'm saying to you is that it happened before my time.
It still has to be looked into.
But it still has to be looked into. I mean, it's 500,000 plus the coin collection plus the ring. I mean...
See, Mr. Langi's whole thing is, well, technically we were not responsible because this all happened before 2006.
Oh, no. The public trustee office is responsible.
Yes.
And the public trustee office was part of government. All that's happened is that the form of the public trustee office has changed. Right?
I know that, you know that, but somebody needs to tell Mr. Langi that. But perhaps he's looking to, he thought he was sticking up for the public trustee.
I think he may have been trying to protect our interests. But I think there is protecting an interest and being
overzealous?
Overzealous, but you got to have integrity. Right? And that's what I'm talking about. Right? I mean, where would our integrity and our feeling for fairness to the Amos family grow?
I mean, yeah.
If we say, no, we're not responsible. Technically, we're not. Personally, we were not there.
Yes.
Right? But the institution.
But the institution of the public trustee, yes.
And
After all, isn't that the whole point? The public trustee is there for the beneficiaries and not the other way around.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So, let me assure you that the issues that you have brought up are new to me. The coin collection.
I'm surprised Mr. Langi never mentioned this to the board.
But, I mean, when did you mention the coin collection?
This was all when I met with him, when? Was it November, December, when we had that meeting?
No, it has never come to the board, has it?
No.
Because I mentioned these facts to him, and he just said, oh, well, we're not here to talk about
Well,
that.
I mean, we need to... and he presents a report at every board meeting. There's a legal report. A legal manager's report. As there is one from a state office.
I think perhaps the directive he got was just concerned with the debt, and then he's just been acting on that particular tack the entire time.
The instruction he had was, let's work on closing dormant files. Okay? But that doesn't mean close it by hook or crook. It means let's get into the files, let's see how we can systematically resolve the issues that are still keeping the file open. Right? But not just pay somebody off or collect some money and close the file.
Because previously, 95, 96, and 99 is when I approached the public trustee. I'm over 21, let's get this going. And for the most part, they just ignored me. And then 99, like I said, I had to file a complaint with the ombudsman that went up to the attorney general. And only then would the public trustee finally let me in to go over what the issue was. And then from 2000 until...
Who were you talking to at the public trustee?
Let's see. At first there was some legal officer guy that was in charge of the file, and then I was talking directly to Mr. Archibald.
And what was Archibald saying?
And Archibald was saying that it was intested, and they basically had a long-winded explanation for why they could not hand it over.
It was intested. That's why it came to public trustee in the first place.
Yes.
But you're over 21 now.
I'm over 21. There were no other parties contesting it until in 2000, 2001, the public trustee hired Monroe Lees, and then spent the next 5-6 years, fighting it in court.
For whom? Who was...
You guys have that on file. You can...
No, sure. But why would public trustee go and argue with a beneficiary who is mentioned in the will? As far as I'm concerned, right now, if we have a file and the beneficiary comes and says, hey, look, I'm the beneficiary, here's my identification, I'm the same guy that's mentioned there, here's a couple of affidavits to say,
well, that was a similar...
thank you very much,
Get out.
Here's your check, now go and let us close this file.
And that was exactly the same procedure that happened in the U.S., where my father's lawyer and friend told me, because of the will, obviously, named my mother, and she cannot benefit, but it was as simple as skip line 1 and go to line 2. But in Fiji, this required 5, 6, 7 years in the wisdom of Solomon, and the entire time the public trustee was pushing to remain as administrator, and I don't know why, because everyone concerned was over the age of 21, and well, these are all on file with the public trustee, and I don't know how thick that particular file is.
I haven't seen the file. I've got some stuff here.
This has been going on for a long time. It's been a decade in court. You know, and as to why the public trustee was fighting this so hard, that's a question I can't answer.
Well, I'd like to find the answer.
Because I believe that, they hired Monroe Lees for it, and I still don't know why it took 5 or 6 years to come to the court's attention, you know, and then to actually get the hearing and for the judge to make the decision. And then afterwards, my brother and I appealed it because we were the only ones, and like even our lawyer in the U.S. said that's not how it should have happened. Appeal it, and then we appealed it, and my brother and I got the estate. And then after that, the public trust, I don't know what the public trustee did after that. It was basically everything, you know, there was no move by the public trustee. We had to initiate more court proceedings and everything, and here we are today. And that's the short version.
I think what we need to do is to also look at what sort of advice was coming to us from Monroe Lees. Whether Monroe Lees were keeping us advised, or what was happening in court.
The person you talked to is Faisal Hanif. Mm-hmm. He handled the court proceedings for that one.
No, but Faisal is a youngster. Right? I mean, I'm looking at...
Overall, yes.
Yeah,
but he was the guy who actually handled the case. That's what I'm saying.
Most recently.
Not the previous one. I mean, obviously Mr. Langi's, or whoever you guys had, the public trustee was doing that after the appeal.
The last one was
yes,
Langi.
Yes, but previous to the appeal in 2006, yes, he was handling the case for the public trustee.
Faisal was.
Mm-hmm. From 2001 to 2006, like the initial case about the will. I imagine so.
In 2001, Faisal was handling it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I thought Faisal was a young guy who was only started 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, so he
I mean, we really need to know what sort of advice and whether we were being told, because, you know, if I had known in 2006 that this thing was one of the ones that have been sitting
I'm 36 years old now.
You know, we've had the bloody thing sitting on our files for 15 years, and that have passed all the headaches to you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I mean, that's a big question for me, but as to the actual motivation, no thank you. The actual reasons why, and that's somewhere in the public trustee's files. And I realize you guys are all just, you know, stepping into this big bunch of honey right now and getting stuck in it. But, you know, somewhere along the line, you know, I mean, as you say, the institution of the public trustee, you know, has to account for some of this and cannot just wash its hands and say, oh, here we are today. I'm trying to think of some other issues, but I think those are the big ones.
That's enough. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. More than enough, right? This isn't what you needed first thing on Tuesday morning.
No. I mean, you know, when I take on a responsibility like this, I take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if I wasn't serious about it, I would have said, look, you know, this is not operational that I'm going to talk to the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my style. I think we'll have to find a resolution to it. And I can promise you.
Mm-hmm. All right. I will hold you to that, prejudice or not.
You might not like the solution that I suggest.
But yes, so I mean, you see now that, I mean, the matter of the claim debt is you know, pretty far down the list. In terms of all these other issues that have to be accounted for first.
Yeah.
Let me just verify that I have all the copies of my own things, and that would have been my... Yes. I mean, all this should be with the public trustee's office, because this is where I got it from.
I got a copy of that.
Okay. And then I assume that would be my copy?
No, I give you your original.
All right, here it is. Yes, okay. I mean, there's much more that's left with the records from the previous case with Peter Knight, and I made several copies of that, but I don't know if you will want someone from the Public Trustee's office to go through and just make a copy of everything so that you know what was happening at the time. And, let's see, what else would be, there were also the rental records that BJ, I mean, that's one kind of issue that I had a niggle with. Well, you know Vijay Maharaj, of course, the lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had been appointed from '86 until 2005, 2006, 20 years or so. He ran Amy Street, maintained it, and kept a trickle of money coming in. And this was all just one guy, no particular expertise. I mean, he's a lawyer by profession, obviously. And then when the public trustee took over it and kicked him out, like in 2005 or 2006, from all I can tell, is they did nothing. There was no maintenance, no rental, nothing.
Why would public trustee take over the property? Why would we kick out an administrator? If it happened in 2006, if it happened early 2006, this is before our time, we didn't start the administration of the public trustee office until the 2nd of April.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if the previous public trustee had knocked him out and said, okay, we're going to take over. Again, the key word is take over, right? Not just, leave it and run it into the ground, literally.
We need to get the background.
I mean, and this also coincides with the fact that that the rates have not been paid since 2003 or whatever it was. And even my mother told me that she was ready to step in and had people who were ready to fix up the place, but everybody thought that as the public trustee was in charge that they would handle the problem, and they never did. Until it came to demolition. Because right next to CWM, I understand that there were a lot of the nursing and medical students that were renting over there because it's obviously very close to the hospital. And
it's an excellent property.
Yes. So you know as well as I do. The whole demolition of the thing, and then the opportunity cost of income lost, et cetera, is way more than what it would have cost to just renovate the place and keep it going.
By the time it came to the current operation,
I've seen pictures.
It was gone.
Mm.
Right. So the neglect was towards the middle of this decade, and the property, the administration would still have been under the public trustee office.
Mm-hmm. And then it still begs the question of obviously you could have or someone could have seen good property, good location. Obviously the rental potential is very good. To renovate it X amount.
The renovations would have.
And it would have kept it would have cost, yes.
But of money.
The cost would have been recovered over time.
Yeah.
Had the public trustee let us know, we would have handled this.
That's the point, right? We didn't have any money in the account, but what we should have done...
Yeah, the responsibility is to notify the beneficiary.
Notify and say, look, this is the situation, right? What can we do about it?
Because the only time, our lawyer found out was, we had all taken a hands-off issue because it was in the public trustee's hands. So the only time we found out that, all this was going on was when the SEC finally issued a demolition order for the place. Then all of a sudden it was well, oh no. And previous to that, we had no idea. And, our lawyer, we've been concerned with getting the estate out of the public trustee's hands. That was not under his, instructions. And again, that was the public trustee's duty.
Yeah, I'd like to see documents then where what the lawyer is saying that the public trustee forced him out in 2006. There must be something in the files. How did we end up with the
estate?
Eh?
With the estate.
Not the estate.
Amy Street.
Amy Street.
The administration of the Amy Street property.
What's happening to Navua?
Navua is just sitting there. And if you know some people who want to get involved in farming, do let me know.
But that's not farming.
Agriculture?
I thought that's on the river bank, right?
Yes.
Of the Bimba River.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
You know where 30 Villas is, right?
Yeah. It's on the other side of the road. Yeah. 15 acres.
20 odd.
Okay.
Probably 15 acres after you take out the mangrove. Usable acres. And again, had my brother and I known that we could have done something with it as opposed to leaving it under the public trustee's care, we would have done something instead of just letting it sit there and be jungle for how many odd years.
Well, yeah.
Like 15 acres, you just go right into the middle where no one can see, plant nyangona, and come back 5 years later. Good harvest.
I was going to, when you say when no one could see, I thought you were going to suggest another.
No. But thank you for the idea.
Okay, I've got some friends coming over from, well, I'm hoping he's going to come today, from Brisbane, from Perth today. And we're actually going to Navua to see some land. And I can certainly take him and show him this one.
Okay.
You want to sell all these? Well, no, don't answer that question. What I will do is, if he's interested, I'll get him to call him.
Okay. And he'll have kind of a problem looking at it because, it is a narrow strip that goes along the river, and the road only goes to, just one of the narrow corners there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You'd have to have some pretty hefty gumboots to actually go walk.
No, I'll just show you where it is.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a lawyer by trade, so he wouldn't know paragraphs from
Paraquat.
But no, a local guys, three brothers,
Mm-hmm.
thinking of coming back, or thinking of investing in Fiji now and coming back when they retire.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've heard quite a few people are doing that.
Yeah, so I'll certainly let him know that there's this property that he can go and have a look at. And this Williamson Road one?
What exactly do you want to know?
No.
That is the house over there on Domain above Albert Park.
So how is it that some parts of the estate have been transferred and others have not? Who's holding the title to the Williamson Road?
Williamson Road was never under the estate. Williamson Road is was owned by my father's company, so it is separate from the personal assets.
Okay.
At least that's how I understand it.
And Dumba was part of
Dumba was.
Personal.
Yeah, yes, or however it works. Whatever it was under the estate, yes. But Williamson Road, even though the public trustee mentions it there, it never was under the public trustee's jurisdiction. Which is why, my mother's been paying the rates for the last X amount of years. And the public trustee had nothing to do with it. Apart from when they stepped in to do all those so-called repairs. And that was $67,000, and that was back in 1991. Do you remember how much the dollar was worth back in that time? 91? You could have built an entire
U.S.
Fiji dollar. No, the Fiji dollar at the time. It was like, I don't know, was it almost on parity with the U.S. dollar at the time? And the cost of labor and materials, of course, was substantially lower.
Yeah, it would have been...
Because I went to school with Rodney Ragwan, Ragwan Construction, Vijay Ragwan's son. And it's actually mentioned in that Daily Post article I have over here. That he went through there and took a look, and there's absolutely no way it could cost $67,000
to repair.
No. And initially, back when I was a kid and investigating all this stuff on my own, I saw the tenders at the public trustee's office where, this Williams Plumbing that was hired, they did have the lowest tender at about $12,000 or $14,000. Ragwan Construction was the next up at $15,000. And then, so from that initial tender of $14,000, $12,000, whatever it was, that they got awarded, it just ballooned, and they just seemed to, in the Daily Post thing, it mentions that, they were getting payments of a couple $1,000s every 2 weeks or so. And if you go there and look at it now, you can still see where they dug up the clay. I mean, obviously, the job of any contractor is to return it to original condition. I mean, everybody knows that. And there's still, the clay pipes that they dug up are still lying where they left them. There was a concrete walkway that they dug up, and that's just, I mean, if you really want, you can come and take a look. And the house, they give an excuse here in the Daily Post article where, Mr. Ragwan said that he was going to file with the Solicitor General a complaint about the standard of the work done, and there's no way it could cost that much. And some person at the public trustee said, evaluation is not possible because the paint has gotten dirty. I don't believe $67,000 is what it costs just to paint the house,
It can be hidden by the paint.
Yes. And when I had approached the public trustee later to, talk to Mr. Tangane Kurukuru about it, where is this guy and why did it cost this much and why did the initial tender go from, $12,000, $14,000 and just balloon and balloon and balloon until it was $67,000, which coincidentally almost matched the amount of money that was in the estate account at the time. So when it was almost down to nothing, then the work's done, bro. So I had asked him, where is this guy? And, Mr. Ragwan disputes this, and he's head of the builders, whatever they call it. And they said, the guy is gone. Nobody knows where I can find him. I opened up the yellow pages, and the guy's ad was right there. And you know what Mr. Takane Kurukuru had to say? Nothing.
Yeah, well, this is why under this administration there is a tender committee. Tenders are public tenders. They get advertised.
And we were children at the time, so we really had no say in,
No, but I mean...
Yes, of course.
There's a tender box, and when the tenders are closed, I chair the tender committee. The tender box is brought here, 2 locks. Both people arrive at my desk, on this table, open the tender box. All the tenders get put on the table. I check to see that there is nothing left in the box. We found 20 cents in there the other day. And then we open all the tenders and record them. And then we make a decision. And it goes into the file. Right? That these were the tenders received. This was the course of action. And that gets reported at the next board meeting.
And I would assume that if there is anything extra after that tender where they need more money, that would be subject to a new tender or at least some sort of
either
oversight.
A new tender or some justification for the variation. Right? I mean, sometimes you say, okay, well, I want a tender to replace the roof. And they tell you it's going to cost you $10,000 to do the roof. But once they pull out the corrugated iron, they say, well, sorry, we have to replace this rafter and that rafter. That's when you need to use your judgment and say, okay, well, what is the cost? You can't suddenly go from $14,000 to $67,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a variation of around 10% is acceptable.
Yes.
In some instances.
See, so when Mr. Ragwan came by to look at it, that article is dated 94. So when he came, he's just like, there's no way. Because obviously he's been in the construction industry for how many years? I mean, just by looking, he could tell.
No, I'm involved with a construction of the new Fiji National University campus in Nandi at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And there the cost has ballooned from what was estimated at $19 million in 1990 to about $32 million today.
Okay.
And
so roughly 50-odd percent.
Yeah, almost doubled.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm saying to my team, I said, well, we've got to justify this increase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've had a couple of devaluations. Let's factor that in. Let's factor inflation. Let's factor the fact that the buildings that we have on the ground today, the floor area is about 180% of what was originally planned. So you factor the fact that it's much bigger.
So you do get an overall picture of why.
Yes. Why, exactly. And in fact, last night at 11 o'clock, I was working on some documents for my meeting next Monday on that project. And I've asked some very, very specific questions.
Mm-hmm.
We must justify the increase and be able to say, okay, that was the original price,
Mm-hmm.
right? Increase due to devaluation. Increase due to size, right? Increase due to increase due. And say, well, now, that's why it is now costing $32 million.
Yes.
Right? We just don't accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And, every variation has to have a reason. You just don't go and say, okay, well, I want this thing done. Move the door from there to there.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah, I additionally like I don't know even know if the guy's still around. This Williams Plumbing and Contracting, whatever the name of the head of the guy, obviously William.
Who is this guy Williams? Is he still around? I don't know.
I don't know. I did check the yellow pages. I did not see a Williams Plumbing, either that he's changed names or he left the country. And so at the time when I was a child, like they were digging up the clay sewage pipes and replacing it with plastic. And even from the eyes of a child, those clay pipes are pretty bloody solid. And I was like, well, why are you digging those up and putting in the plastic? And I think the plastic one had a smaller diameter too. And the guy was standing there for about 3 or 4 minutes, just quiet, before he finally said, oh, well, sometimes it cracks. And whether that's true or not, I don't think that was an issue that needed fixing in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just they installed low-flow toilets too, which
I suppose PVC was the in thing in those days.
Because the majority of the work they did seems to have been just a bunch of make work to justify the fact that they were getting paid.
And let's face it, unscrupulous builders will always do that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is true. But again, it always comes back to who at the public trustee authorized all this without even a question of why are you guys doing this when the initial tender was this, and give some explanation in writing. Like you said, the why.
Yeah, why exactly? And for us in Nandi, every variation has to have a reason. Every variation has to be costed, and every variation has to be approved by a committee before it is implemented.
Yeah, obviously.
There's only one variation where it got approved by me and got reported to the committee for retrospective approval. That's because I was there and they were working, and I said, okay, don't stop the part here. Take it another 2 meters.
it wasn't a radical change.
Wasn't a radical change. I wasn't changing the shape of the building or changing the roof or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we've had lots of changes. But everyone has to be justified and costed and approved. And otherwise, you put a builder in a place and say, look, and you just go and do it, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, and Mr. Ragwana told me at the time, I mean, back then with the value of the dollar and the labor and materials being what they were, for $67,000 you could have built yourself a
house.
Yes, a double story.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I bought my house in 1972 in Martin Tamboa Street. $28,000. No, sorry, $22,000. 3-bedroom, freehold, fully finished. For 22. Okay. Supposing things had doubled by treble for $66,000, you could have had a bloody brand new 3-bedroom house built. And here the renovations took $7,000. Yeah. It sounds fishy.
Especially if you come and look at the quality of the work done. As I said, they never returned anything to original condition. The pipes are still lying there and all that stuff. It's still dug up, and I mean, it just was left as is, and it's been 20-odd years.
Okay then.
Thanks, Ben.
Okay.
We'll get in touch with you.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll have a similar chat.
Okay. Yes, and you have any paperwork for me? Yes, so either just send it to my lawyer, or just give me a call, or like if you need my home address.
I don't think there would be any paperwork. What? Then you have Vernon's phone number, right? 900.
Yes. Mr. Langi Langi had been very diligent last week in calling me up daily and informing me of your movement.
I told him.
Yes.
900-6436.
6436.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you've got some of that information, what I suggest you do is you give Vernon a call, share that information with Vernon.
Yeah.
And yes, just please let Mr. Langi Langi know. Just only call me once when it's all ready, and don't call me on a daily basis.
You don't talk to him. Len will call you.
Okay.
Right?
Because yes, last week he was saying, okay, Mr. Janiff's in the west, he'll be here till tomorrow, and then he calls me the next day saying Mr. Janiff is in Suva and we'll set up a meeting. And I wanted to tell him, just tell me when the meeting is, man. I don't need to know about what Mr. Janiff had for breakfast this morning. But yes, so all taken care of, and we're finally here and done with, and let's just see what happens going forward.
I'll get in touch.
Get in touch, and then send me some copies, and you can send him copies. So he's had a look at the documents before he comes here. Makes it easier to talk about it if you get a chance to.
And as I said, like the whole reason this hasn't come up before is because this was not what the court action was about. Although Mr. Langi Langi seemed to think so. And I mean, even these guys at SCC I talked to said, like, well, what's he doing? The standard procedure would be like, you hand it over and then you make your good faith effort to collect on the debt. And I'm not sure what the legal term is.
There is no, let's just say, I'm not saying that appeal is out of the question. What I'm saying is an appeal is highly, highly unlikely.
So long as Mr. Langi Langi is aware of that.
See, for Mr. Langi Langi to appeal, he has to
come to the board.
He has to come to the board. Yeah. And he's been told no further action until the board gives you the
Because, our lawyer is Mr. Ramesh Prakash, and he has another lawyer who works with him, Pamela Kenny-Loria, or something like that. She's from Solomon's. And she was very surprised at what Mr. Langi Langi said outside the courtroom, that if the decision doesn't go our way, we'll just appeal and appeal and appeal, because evidently the judges take a very dim view of that sort of thing. But, yes, well, that's neither here nor there.
Well, I mean, if you're getting in touch with your lawyers, you can now tell them that it's spoken to him. He's now personally involved.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be one.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, I would have hoped that Mr. Langi would have brought these issues to your attention
Yeah, but
previously.
he hasn't. And but we won't dwell on that. You know, we're going to move forward rather
Because
than...
I don't want to make it look like, like we never objected to the fact that obviously there are costs and the FCC rates and all these things.
Yeah,
It's not about the issue of non-payment. It's about the issue of whether you can justify that with regard to all these other aspects.
Yeah, there are some claims that we have against you, legitimate claims, like rates and things, but there are equally concerning issues that you have. Yeah? We've got to balance the two.
Yeah. There even is an issue, one last thing, but it's minor, just a nuisance abatement thing that was handed to the public trustee from the FCC, but it's just the issue of cutting the grass. So this is up in the air right now. We're probably just going to handle it ourselves, regardless of like whether the public trustee is going to get involved.
At the moment, see, the estate has been handed over to you now. And
so yeah, as I understand it, it's our issue now. Yes. Yeah. So yes, we'll just deal with that and figure out the rest at some other point. Okay. All right. Good meeting you, Mr. Korodrau.
Yeah. Sure.
All right.
Catch up with you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Will do. Thank you.
Don't get too drunk.
Yeah. After the grammar reunion, yes, like I'm done with that, man. I can't keep drinking like that at my age. Have a good day.
Okay.